Mars in Libra. Continuing my reading from this book, Mars in Libra will correlate to a soul who desires to actualize its karmic and evolutionary intentions through the initiation of relationships with a diversity of types who represent different values, beliefs, and ideas. I've seen this a lot in people that I've met that have Mars in Libra. You know, that when a lot of times we see things in ourselves and other people, and we tend to blame ourselves. Specifically talking about relationships or why things don't work, that it's my fault, it's your fault, her fault, his fault. And when we look at Mars in Libra and we hear this statement here, the desire to initiate cardinal sign, diversity of relationships who represent different values, beliefs, and ideas. And also thinking of Mars is an adventurer, and Libra, relationships. If you're doing that, if you're constantly find yourself initiating relationships, this could be the reason why. Because there's this pull, this drive, Mars, to interface with other people who have different values, beliefs, and ideas. I'm going to come back to that because this is really important. In this way, the soul is able to expand its consciousness through the importation of new ways of understanding the nature of reality. In evolutionary terms, the soul is desiring to learn new ways of being in relationships with other people, to challenge the culturally established and sanctioned forms of relationship dynamics, to learn how to balance its needs for independence with its needs to be in a relationship, to learn how to give and receive in equal ways, to learn how to understand the nature of its projections onto people and vice versa, to learn to create new understandings of itself through the information and perspectives of others, and to learn about the karmic law of sexuality that binds and bonds people over many times. That was a lot there. This is probably one of the most interesting, now that he's the way he's putting it, like this is one of the most interesting Mars in the signs of the 12. Learning how to be desiring to learn new ways of being in relationships with other people, so they could find themselves in situations or relationships where they know it's not right, or they know that they're kind of pulled to getting out of it, moving into another relationship, because what was I going to say? Because it's familiar, and they want to learn new ways of being in relationships. They may be, just as an example, a simple example. Let's say they're pulled into a conventional relationship, and they're find themselves in a relationship for 6 months or a year, and then it's just like, that's too long, because things are going to come up, because that's conventional, and that's not what the soul wants to be in. Potentially, we'll have to look at the whole chart, but could want to be in new ways of being in relationships, to challenge the culturally established. So they'll come to this realization that they want to challenge the culturally established relationship dynamics, and this could be the reason why. To learn, this is the biggest one here, individually, to learn the balance for its needs for independence and being in a relationship. Because with all that being said, the Mars and Libra person, if they have the right partner or a good partner, then they should be able to express that to their partner, so that they can still have that relationship and not just throw it away because for fear that they're going to lose their independence. Now, vice versa, if that person is like, no, we should get married, we should have kids, and I'm not okay with this and that. Recently, I don't know if I mentioned this, I knew someone that said that they wanted to take a break, and then the guy just broke it off after that, like things like that. If you have someone who's not like that and that understands, then there's no reason why you can't maintain friendship. Here's another thing. To learn how to be in relationships that are not culturally accepted or culturally established, to challenge those. Well, being in a relationship with friends, maintaining those friendships, even though you're not committed in a serious relationship, that is Mars and Libra. As a result of these desires, the Mars and Libra person will be instinctively attracted to many different kinds of people throughout the life. Many of these attractions will lead into short-term relationships in which much conversation and discussion will take place in an exchange of ideas, information, and so on. Relative to the nature of Mars, many of these connections will have sexual undertone that may or may not be acted on. The instinctual tendency is to act on this sexual feeling. However, Mars in Libra in and of itself desires to have the necessary freedom to be able to act on its instinctual attractions to others, including the possibility of sexualizing some of these attractions. It is through involvement with others in various ways that the Mars and Libra person is able to understand the specific nature of their individual reality. Someone else I knew that had this, she also had Mars in Capricorn. This is what I mean by I have to look at the chart, because I remember the first thing she said to me was, because I was in her apartment, she's probably definitely not watching this, but I was in her apartment and she was like, first thing she said was, no, don't get any ideas. Not that I had any ideas, but she's like, don't get any ideas, nothing's going to happen here. And then eventually she did kick me out, even though I got the sense that she didn't really want to. Mars in Libra, Venus in Capricorn. Clinging on to the consensus, this idea that one night stands are bad. One night stands, and who said it would have been a one night stand? Sometimes it works out. Here's the thing: sometimes these things work out for the good. Like they're not bad things, especially to high functioning, advanced consciousness people, whatever the hell that is. I just thought that sounded cool. So, if that makes sense to you, it makes sense to me. They're learning to understand through these relationships the specific nature of their individual reality. They learn about the relativity of truth. These are all very air themes. Various lifestyles that reflect each individual's personal truth, that there is no one right way that fits all. If you study astrology and you spend a lot of time with different people and looking at their charts, you see this, that even though you may not agree with it, you have to come to terms with the fact that there is such a thing as a personal truth. Again, it could be morally wrong, or it could be, you could think that it's wrong, or whatever. It's just I don't know, I'm confusing myself here. Just by the fact that I think that I want the freedom to live out my life the way I want to, and you want the freedom to live out the life the way you want to, both parties are not really hurting anyone. That's a very complicated subject, really. Mars and Libra souls reflect the unique quality to objectively listen to others in such a way as to hear what they are saying without the filter of their own subjective reality. The Mars and Libra soul is very attractive to other people because they feel heard, accepted, and empowered by a soul that desires to give them what they need until they disappear. That's what I would say. They feel heard. They may feel heard, but then, as what he's saying before, then they go on to another person to learn something else. So maybe these people can make good counselors. Sexually speaking, Mars and Libra reflects a soul that desires to inwardly unite the inner male and female through sexual role equality. Very big on equality, equal rights. You see people working in the human rights field, for sure, having Mars and Libra. Think of Libra, the scales, Venus, the balance, the harmony, trying to create harmony, fighting for that. This is where I think this is what I throw in. There's just this confusion there, though. Like, it's like often people that are fighting for human rights, they find themselves, again, this is very subjective and anecdotal. It seems like they find themselves in situations where they are alone and they can't be in equal partnership themselves in their personal life. But that also kind of goes with the territory with a lot of people that are doing very passionate work, and they're just so wrapped up in their work. Within this, but then it comes back to having a partner who understands and who can appreciate that the other person has something important in their life to do, and not be so selfish. Within this, there is a keen instinctual nature that is able to harmonize with the sexual energy of the partner. This is like that social grace. These people could be great sexual teachers if they wanted to, but they probably wouldn't. I mean, then again, I don't know. I've never seen any Mars in Libra. The instinctual harmonization reflects the Mars and Libra desire to give. In this way, a mutual harmonization takes place wherein the partner gives back, producing a mutually deep and permeating sexual response. Mars in Libra contains a unique gift to unlock and set free the sexual energy in a partner who has been locked up. Typically, Mars in Libra is very sexually refined with a keen sense of touch and sexual grace. You think like back in the day, if this is even real, that people where they did probably have more sexual teachers, like ancient time, people like this would do that. Typically, Mars in Libra is very sexually refined with a keen sense of touch and sexual grace. The Mars in Libra soul is also learning about sexual karma. This is reflected in the desire to initiate diversity of relationships with many types of people, stimulating Mars in Libra's desire to continually expand its conscious horizons. Many of these connections, again, will have sexual overtones because Libra is a cardinal type. Says here, this is his take on all this, that once the sexual fluids are exchanged through any form of sexual contact, a mutual exchange of karma occurs. As a result, a karmic link is established. The key for Mars and Libra is to complete each connection it has with another, even if such connection is the famous one-night stand. They must enter each connection with conscious awareness and attention that is mutually understood instead of a love them and leave them attitude. See, this is what I'm talking about. The Mars and Libra, if you think of, they have past things coming up, if they feel stuck, this could be part of the reason why, is because they are learning all of this, but they're not completing the relationships. He says loving them, leaving them. And if you think in terms of what you're doing now in this life is a repetition, which what it probably is for a lot of people, of the past or past lives, then you're continuing this cycle. And he makes sense out of it, saying that you want to learn, etc. That's all good and all, but that's like kind of like the Gemini or air version of learning, but not. What they could do is, or what he's saying is, to stop this cycle, they need to go deep. They need to go deep and go Scorpio. Scorpio is the next sign, of course. So go into the next sign, continue in that way. Also Sagittarius, the opposition of Gemini, to really understand things, not to just think because you experience something that you understand it, because you experience someone or something for a night or a week, or you dated them for a short period. That doesn't really mean that you know something or understand something. And this is what Libra can do. When the Mars and Libra person becomes attracted to someone but is already in an existing relationship, it is karmically necessary to be honest with the existing partner and not to enter into such a connection without honestly communicating and informing the partner about such a connection. When this does not occur, additional karma is created with that partner. See, sometimes this is what people, they don't want to be honest, but it's from a spiritual standpoint, it's better to be honest and to not avoid. It's the same thing with this idea of being friends to complete things. To be honest and not do things because of what other people may think or because of your situation might get worse. You got to be the Mars and Libra person. You think with Mars there that they could do this, that they could be strong and be sincere and honest with these things. Instinctively, many other people project their needs, agendas, and expectations on a Mars and Libra person who eventually become overwhelmed, confused, and no longer in touch with their own needs and desires. At this point, a wellspring of anger suddenly surfaces and can be projected on anyone, even people who are not the cause of the anger. Thus, Mars in Libra must learn to honor its own instincts as they occur. Whether their instinct triggers a need to be absolutely alone or to interrelate with others, they need to do so immediately and without guilt or apology. Honoring their instinctual nature, Aries, in this way creates a state of ongoing balance versus extremes. Sexually, this means for them to honor their own needs, not just the needs of the partner. Mars and Libra can become so involved in the sexual needs and responses of a partner that they lose touch with their own needs and desires. Sexual equality means for them to attract partners who are just as sensitive to them, equally aware, both become more than satisfied. The end. Mars and Libra. Thanks for watching.